And when I was listening to this, it was such a light bulb moment, you know, like I realized that this is exactly what it's like for me. Yep. Alright, so I've got something very exciting to share with you guys. Over the last month, I've really started to feel more comfortable in high pressure gig situations, all thanks to one small little mindset shift that I learned from Hugh Jackman. For me, this tiny little mindset shift has been an absolute game changer. I think over the last month, I feel like I've really been performing at my best at my gigs. For me to best explain it to you guys, let's go back in time a little bit to where I first discovered it. Lately, I've noticed this tendency within myself to tense up and fumble notes at certain points during gigs. There are these certain moments where I can feel myself tensing up and it's causing me to play passages wrong that I'd ordinarily execute well. And the thing is, it's not a nervous type of tension. It's not stress or anxiety, but it's this definite feeling of effort when I'm trying to play. And as I've reflected on it over the last couple of weeks, I've noticed that it tends to happen when I need to play fast and loud at the same time. And the issue was really doing my head in for a couple of weeks up until I heard a really thought-provoking concept. I was listening to Hugh Jackman talk on the Tim Ferriss Show, and it came at just the perfect time to address the issue that I was having. The whole discussion is great. I'd encourage you all to listen to it. I'll drop the link in the description. Basically, Jackman goes on to explain that the optimum level of effort for high performance is 85% effort. At first it kind of seemed a little bit bizarre to me that if you're trying to do something as well as possible that you should only try at 85% effort. Because you'd think naturally that if you want to perform something at a high level, the amount of effort that you should put into it would naturally be 100%, right? But the whole idea comes from this concept that to perform optimally, we actually need a small percentage of relaxation. So the studies showed that athletes sprinting at 85% effort with this element of relaxation actually performed better than the ones going all out at 100%. The small element or percentage of relaxation actually helped the athletes optimize their level of form and consistency in race conditions. And I think that's the important key here, the race conditions. You know, when you're in the heat of it, there's all these external things, you know, there might be people cheering and there's lights and there's noises and it's crazy, and it's so different to the way that you practice. And so that tiny little bit of relaxation and just making sure that you execute things the same way that you would in relaxed conditions is the important thing. And this is why we see athletes now at the Olympics, you know, kind of like waving and dancing and doing their thing before they run the biggest race of their life, you know, because it's coached into them to be relaxed now on their big performances. So Hugh Jackman and Tim Ferriss sort of then go on to agree that this 85% rule has worked really well for them in all areas of their life, and working hard not to overexert themselves when they need to perform at a high level. They talk about how as individuals, they notice within themselves they have this personality that tends to want to try really hard and perform at a high level in everything they do, and it kind of elevates lots of feelings of effort when they do these performances. So for them, with their personality types, they've kind of realized that it's best just to rein it in that 15% and be a little bit relaxed and just make sure that all the fundamentals are being addressed and executed correctly. And when I was listening to this, it was such a light bulb moment, you know, like I realized that this is exactly what it's like for me. I always have this intensity and this need to want to perform at a high level, and I think often at times it causes me to play worse. So when I'm in the practice room and conditions are relaxed and calm and there's no consequence, you know, it's not a performance, I end up playing things well and I'm happy with it, and then I get on the bandstand and all of a sudden all these external factors are there, and this need and desire to want to play really well causes me to tense up, even just in a subtle way, and it makes me make these small errors that I usually wouldn't make. You know the classic cliche in jazz solos where you start really chill and then you're building the solo up to this big climax and the band is sort of, you know, everyone's on board. It's just this narrative arc that happens every time, And the issue for me is when I'm getting around this point here, when I need to play fast and loud at the same time and the band is roaring and I'm just trying to bring it, you know? It's when we're trying to push the music into this high energy moment. So my goal after listening to this podcast is just to think about reining it in just that fraction, just so that I can execute the basics well. The real difficulty is going to be to keep this in mind in the heat of the moment when I'm actually on the bandstand. The best practice solution that I can come up with to combat this is to do some performance visualization in the practice room. So what I'm going to do right now is actually take a solo. I'm going to close my eyes, imagine I'm on stage, and I'm going to try and grow the intensity, but in my mind, play at 85% and see what comes out. So I think I'm going to play over Moment's Notice and just see what happens. I haven't played this tune in a little while, so hopefully it goes okay. Staying 15% relaxed, approximately 15% relaxed, is actually really helping with the fast lines. I'm just going to keep doing takes and I'm kind of enjoying playing right now. I'll edit some of the best bits and sort of show you what I mean. Well, that was an interesting experiment. I did more than one take. I got carried away. I was having fun. But I do feel like I'm onto something. When I was relaxed, the fast lines were coming out cleaner. The only problem is I started to let go of those performance conditions. So I still really need to keep working towards getting that feeling more when I'm actually on the bandstand. And maybe that's the lesson of today, is that it's a really hard thing to replicate in the practice room, and you can't substitute performance experience with anything other than performance experience. So I guess the other thing that we can learn from that bit of information is that if there are only things that we can learn on the bandstand, we really need to be making an effort to reflect more. And this is for me personally. I need to make more of an effort to reflect more on my gigs and the lessons I can learn from each one. Over the next couple of weeks and next couple of months, I'll make an effort to keep thinking about it and keep monitoring how the 85% rule impacts the way that I play on my gigs, and see if it makes a difference long term. Alright, we're back to the present day, and I just want to say that after trying the 85% rule for about a month, it's been an absolute game changer for me. It's taken a little while to be able to implement it consistently on my gigs, but I think now I'm really starting to get comfortable with it, and as a result, a lot of my lines are coming out a lot cleaner. I'm really executing some of these more difficult phrases in those sort of high energy moments. It's made a huge difference to my playing overall over the last month. I'd strongly encourage you guys to check it out. And that pretty much summarizes it. So if you've made it this far, thanks for checking out the video. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.